goal today is to make sure that you all have the resources to protect your own health when it comes to breathing. I'm going to use a PowerPoint, and then we're going to do at first, and then we're going to do a walkthrough of some of the online resources that are available for you to use. But I'm going to start with asking you to do something you do all the time, but in a different way. I'm going to ask you to breathe. Now, there are a couple different ways that I can ask you to breathe that'll have a couple different effects. With students, especially like middle school students, I do this in a way that induces stress. And they really like it because they're middle school students. And they'll ask to do it again. And because I ask them without much warning or preparation, I ask them to hold their breath for 30 seconds, which most people can do. But somewhere between 30 seconds and a minute, most people can't. The world record for holding your breath is 24 minutes and 37 seconds, which would definitely kill me. But rather than doing that, I'm going to have you do a centering breathing exercise with me. And what I'd like you to do, it's up to you whether or not you close your eyes, but I would like you to start taking a long breath and counting off to yourself, counting to 10 as you inhale, holding it as you count to 5, and then exhale. And if you can't do 10, that's fine, but start with whatever you can. But the key is, while you do this, is focus on your heart beating. So I will also do this. I'm going to start now. So I just did this 3 times. And every day I actually do this practice, and I'll do it for about 15 minutes in the evening. Sometimes when I've got time, I'll do it in the morning. But this centering activity really helps your body breathe, because as you do this, you're fully expanding your lungs and stretching them out. Every time you do this, you're stretching your lungs out larger and larger. And you should be feeling actually more air in your body, because you're actually putting air, you're saturating blood and your muscles with oxygen. So it actually ends up giving you a lift in energy. And it also usually has a calming effect. And as you all are, I'm certainly aware, but sometimes taking that moment to just breathe can help center and relax. Um, I live in Western North Carolina, and there's a word that the Cherokee use, the Sakagunesh, and that's a word that talks about the blue and the mist of the mountains. It's actually caused by a chemical called isoprene and other chemicals. It's really interesting because of these chemicals in the air that we have here. It actually really brought people to Western North Carolina at the beginning of the last century. It's why the Vanderbilt's here, because the Vanderbilts came here for the air quality, because they felt it was good for their lungs. And it's really central to a lot of the history of Western North Carolina. Now, I work with the Department of Environmental Quality. We provide science-based environmental stewardship for the health and prosperity of all North Carolinians. And these are our divisions. We work with different types of water, um, energy, the coastal management. We work with land and mining. And our job is to make sure the environment is clean and healthy for, well, people. Division of air quality, we do this through a couple different ways. We monitor the air, we measure it all the time. And I'm going to hold up something on the screen. It'll be tiny because my face is tiny, but I hope you can see it. You see, this is from a machine we call a BAM. But this machine takes continuous monitoring, and every single one of those dots is an hour of air pollution. We have about 20 of these that work across the state. Most of them are actually in the mountains right now because of people burning storm debris because of Helene. We actually have additional monitors like this, but these machines take an air quality sample, send the information to Raleigh, so where we have meteorologists to take this information and create air quality forecast about it. Now, the day that I showed you was actually from 2016. It was during a forest fire. So the air quality there was actually a purple air quality day, which means that it's unhealthy for everybody. We recommend not being active outdoors on those days. But we also inspect every single smokestack in North Carolina. We use permits and engineers to make sure that if a facility is making air pollution in their daily process, it doesn't make the area unhealthy. And we do all of this to protect health. And we all know why air is important, because it helps us live. On average, we take 10 to 20 breaths a minute. We breathe in about 3,000 gallons of air every day. Or another way to look at it, air in a breath, air in a day. So we use a lot of air, and it's a shared resource. Which, of course, brings up the question, why do we care about air? And the answer is, well, mostly health. Human impacts. It's got environmental impacts. Animals are affected by unhealthy air. It even has economic impacts because the leading reason for missed work is illness. But if you broke it down, it's actually childhood asthma. Because when a child has asthma, a bad asthma attack, their parents are out of work. Air quality is also related to most of the causes of death in the United States. So to educate people about that, we use this tool, the Air Quality Index, where we color code the health of the air. Today in all of North Carolina, it's a good air quality day. If you come over here, it has these numbers though. PM, particle pollution, soot, measured in micrograms per cubic meter. And that's the type of filter I showed you. It's measuring particle pollution. The other really one that we're concerned with is ground level ozone, which is a gas, but it's an unhealthy gas. And it's a result of things in the air and combustion. Same thing with the particle pollution. Moderate air quality days means that people who are particularly sensitive to air pollution should minimize their activity outdoors in the afternoon because our air quality, except on the ridge tops, but every place else, it peaks in the late afternoon for a lot of different reasons. When it gets to orange, we put out alerts to let people know. We push it out through the media. Red is generally unhealthy. That means everybody should avoid being active outdoors and in the afternoon. And the worst, I've seen it in North Carolina, which was from a forest fire, but was very unhealthy, where you're not supposed to be active outdoors at all. This is our communication tool so people can protect their health. Now, these standards, the ozone standard and the particle pollution, there's also one for carbon monoxide, or carbon compounds and VOCs, and there's one for sulfur compounds and nitrogen compounds and lead. These standards are reviewed periodically and they can change. They just adjusted the PM standard to make it, because we found out through research that um, that we need to have lower levels to protect health. But when we change these numbers or the standards, we do not change the colors, so the behavior is still consistent. Um, and there's some links here about this standard, but I'm going to just go on. This is part of the study that we used, and you can see as the concentration of ground level ozone goes up, hospitalization also goes up, mostly due to asthma-related symptoms, because the ground level ozone will react in your lungs and turn the water in your lungs into hydrogen peroxide and also give off heat. So it kind of irritates or sunburns your lungs. So this is our landing page, and it's at the easiest way to get there is www.airnow, or not airnow.gov, but ncair.org. And as every government website, it's chock full of information. Talks about how we do our work, education, motor vehicles. There's reports here about where air pollution comes from, different tools. And I want to start by showing you actually this tool, which I've actually got open. So I'll go ahead and open this air quality portal. So this is our landing page for our forecast. And as you can see, it's color-coded, green, and it's telling us the entire state is green today. You can go to current conditions. Now this map's a little bit different because it includes additional information. Temperature, it's got these green blocks which are showing particle pollution, 2.3 micrograms per cubic meter is really low. So we don't have much particle pollution in there, but I need to add ozone to that. Now, during the winter, we turn off our ozone meters because the ozone is formed by having volatile organic compounds, which are reactive carbon molecules. And in North Carolina, mostly from plants, we have unburned hydrocarbons, which are mostly from cars and power plants. And then they react in sunlight and temperatures above 70 degrees. We don't have very much of that in the winter, so we only run a couple of our monitors for ground level ozone. But this shows you what's happening at this very moment. And of course, these numbers are temperature. So you can get to this either by scrolling down, or it's actually one of these menus at the top in this carousel, which has what we think is most important in our information. If you want to get a look at what's happening over the last couple of years, you can see, use this air quality trends. It's a report, but this is a really good graph that comes with it because it's showing that our air is getting better. And this is the portal that I just showed you. So this is one set of information that we have for you. But there's more. So airnow.gov, this is another tool. And as you look at it, it doesn't move. So this shows you, it can show you a map of the entire nation and how the air quality is going in the entire nation, both forecast and the current air quality. So if you're out of North Carolina, this is really useful. If we click in here, we can probably zoom in. The most interesting part of this map is in Montana. Now, my guess is that high air pollution area in Billings is probably because of a forest fire. But the best way to know that is to go to the fire map. And so I'm going to go back here and go to the wildfire and smoke map. And I'm just going to hit this. Just want to skip this. So this is another tool that we have. And as you can see, Billings, Montana, which is, yes, it's up here. So those are the monitors, which are high. It's not showing a fire, but this actually shows where there are fires and where smoke plumes are. And this is really of concern for us, not today, but knowing where fires are, because if you smell smoke in the air, it usually means there's a fire nearby, and you should be aware of your health. But this can tell you how severe the air pollution is. And we're going to scan back in, bring it to Western North Carolina, because you see those gray areas. It will show in gray smoke plumes. Now, right now in Western North Carolina, we have no forest fires or anything. These big dots, those are official government air quality monitors. We expand and they'll go back in a couple of days. The little ones, and I'll go straight into Asheville. I'm being very Asheville centric because this is where I live. These are called purple air monitors. Now, purple air monitors are small monitors that cost about $200 to $300. And if you sign an agreement to maintain it and everything, they will take your data and put it onto this network, which we use for forecasting, but it's also available for people to see fires. And this is one that's actually a block from the office that I work in. And it's showing really, really low, really good air quality for the last couple of days. Of course, that's because it's been raining. And rain does this really nice thing where it cleans out the air. The other thing I want to show you is really a valuable tool. And it's going to be here in the resources. Probably can get to it other ways. And this is an EnviroFlash email.
Keith, before we go further, can I ask you a question about the fire map? And I know a lot of us know Angela Hopper on this call, and she actually has shared with me that she'll use this map when she's looking at where they might be going on vacation or where in the country. So I would imagine that could be a good tool for even planning where we're traveling to and how would we use it at that point for effectiveness, just to make sure our air quality is where it should be.
So yeah, that is one of the reasons why I'll go back and show you that map again. So yeah, this is something that, especially if you're sensitive to air, this is a great resource. And it is a national map. This is the current air quality map. This can show you what's going on at any given time. But yeah, so if you're going someplace, especially if you've been hearing about fires, and it's a really good tool because you can get really, really down to very small areas. Like, I'll again skip this. Wait for the map. So if you were in Colorado and you wanted to go to Rocky Mountain National Park, which is right around here, you could check this fire and actually click into the fire, tell you what kind it is, when it was caused, whether or not it's contained, and it will include a smoke plume. and that's this gray area around it. Um, I should really save a really bad smoke day so I can show you because, well, this last the summer before last, we were getting Canadian wildfire smoke, and it showed these giant smoke plumes coming from here, tracking all the way down the East Coast. That happened like in May of 2013. Then in June of 2013, there was a smoke plume that was coming from here in Calgary and Alberta, and it was sweeping all the way down here. We were getting readings on our monitors that were saying that the air was unhealthy to breathe during those smoke events. And that's where this really becomes useful. Now, the way that they get this data is a lot of these fires are detected by satellites. Let's see if I can get this one to open. So this is a satellite detected fire. And if you were in Western North Carolina, you probably heard a couple weeks ago, there's a debris pile that caught on fire. And they think it might have been arson or anything, but it caught on fire and it was making all of Asheville smoky. That debris fire was caught by this map as a potential fire site before it was reported to the air quality specialist agencies. So it's really using satellite data. And in the Florida region, a lot of these fires are prescribed burning. This is burning season in Florida. If you've ever flown over Florida in February and January, February, it seems like the whole state is on fire.
So you go to the EnviroFlash home, subscribe for EnviroFlash. I already have an account, so I'm going to go and put in my address, log in, no password, which is nice because my head's full of passwords. So I'm going to add a new account. Oh, no, sorry. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to manage my account. Oh, it's weird. So I have all these cities already. So I'm going to just click on the South Ridges and I'm going to change the city, or you can add a new city, and I'm going to select by state. And my father lives in Raleigh, so I'll go to Wake County. So I've chosen the place. The next thing I'm going to do is decide whether or not I want to receive a forecast every day or receive it as a air quality notification. But I'm going to choose to receive it every day. So it's going to send me the forecast. You can choose it as a text only, which is a lot easier if you're using your phone to receive this, or an HTML. So it'll show me a preview. So this is what it would look like. I can't believe that's the forecast for tomorrow, but so I'll update it. So now every day I'm going to get a forecast for Raleigh to see what the air pollution is there. It's also really easy to change it. So if you were traveling for someplace for like a week or a month, go ahead and set yourself up a air quality forecast for that place and then get rid of it later. And it's all free. It's all part of actually airnow.gov, which is managed by the EPA and local air quality agencies. North Carolina does a county by county forecast because we found that when we have forest fires, we need that type of detail. So I'm going to, any questions about those tools? All right, good.
I do have one question. So, I manage a lung cancer retreat every year, and
Mm-hmm.
we do a lot of activities outside. And I wasn't even aware that, air quality is worse in the afternoon. If there was a warning, we'd stay out of, indoors all day.
Right.
And so is there an exception to that? Does the air quality get so bad at a point that, and then if yes or no, at what point in the afternoon is the time that we need to be back in?
So I'll show you the answer to that question in the most governmenty, sciencey way I can. I'm gonna share my screen again. So here we have our map, county by county map, and it's got the current conditions. Now, if you have the subscription for a place, if the air quality gets bad, it will send you an email, or if you're receiving it another way. So you can just have it tell you when there are alerts or where it's bad, which is a really helpful tool. But if you want a deeper look into what's going on, you can click on this forecast discussion and it will explain why they made that prediction, why they made that forecast. So those are the two ways that you can really help yourself know better. Um, and the interesting thing is that the way that when you get the forecast um, sent to you when they say there's an alert, it's a pretty conservative um, message. So we don't, we know that we're not gonna, most people won't have problems with breathing unless they're exposed at the orange level, healthy, unhealthy for sensitive groups. At that level, they won't have effects until they're exposed for multiple hours or really intense activity. But if the air quality gets to that level, just for an hour, if it peaks above that level, they will send you an alert saying the air quality is bad. So it's really designed to give you those tools to protect your own health. So the last two things I'm posting are about our open burning page and our smoke and wildfire and prescribed burns page. Um, those are two things, and Angela's very involved in both of these. Um, but North Carolina, uh, the air is getting better. And I have lots of slides in the participation, but I'm not going to go back to that. But our air is getting better. Um, but that, but in North Carolina, even before we had the Division of Air Quality, before we had the EPA, there's a law written that it's illegal to burn man-made material in North Carolina. And that's a pretty blanket thing. But the process is a complaint-based system. So if somebody is burning things and it's affecting your home, especially if it doesn't smell like wood, you can call one of our regional offices or email us, and we do investigations of these, and we start them immediately. Our goal is to have them finished before the end of the next day, unless it's complex. And we do this through working with a lot of partners because, well, North Carolina is a really big state, and I can drive 3.5 hours and still be in North Carolina if I go west, or I can be in Raleigh. So we work with partners at the Forest Service and the fire marshals of the counties and to get these done as quickly as possible. Um, and another thing that's interesting about it is that we, as the Division of Air Quality, we have the power to fine people for burning the wrong things, but we can't make them stop burning. It's not how the law is written. So in that case, we will work with the fire marshals. And if the fire marshal decides that it's much enough of a hazard, they will actually be able to stop the fires. And Buncombe County has actually codified that in their environmental safety protocol. Um, so it's a complaint-based system. And Right now, we're getting a lot more complaints because of the debris that's from Helene, and people are allowed to, in in normal times, you're not allowed to move debris to burn to your property because there's a pretty well established scientific principle about burning things. And if you're just burning from your property and you're burning the brush and everything, the same principle is used actually with planned burns or prescribed burns. If you're burning the little stuff, you're not going to create enough smoke to negatively affect your health because there's just not enough material there to make it harmful. But if you take all the stuff from a lot of places and pile it in one place, then you've got a lot of smoke from a lot of different places. So usually we don't allow people to do that. But because of Helene, we have an exception to that rule. But we also are allowing people to use special devices called air curtain burners. And these devices burn better. And normally they have to go through a process to get them approved. So we are, but led to an increase in complaints because people are burning this. We've added monitors to help people. So we have science to tell us that it's not making the area unhealthy. And then we've got the smoke wildfires and prescribed burn page. And that page is kind of guidance about what you can do if you're encountering smoke. We have a visual guide that keys how much smoke you're seeing in the air with the the AQI, the air quality index. So there's a lot of stuff. So that's another tool we have for you. So you have a chance to ask questions and maybe talk amongst yourself. Just going to leave it with that. The air quality is getting better, and I hope that these tools are useful to you.